So when we sit quietly and open to our experience, what we might notice sometimes is that we have a kind of difficult relationship to our feelings, to our emotions. They seem to be not right. And in our life we might try many years to fix our feelings, to fix our emotions, because they are not quite right. Overcome them or transform them or even get rid of them. Get rid of feelings. So in what kind of self-improvement projects are you involved to fix your feelings, to get rid of them? Because they are not quite right, they are wrong. They are not quite right, is kindly said. We're actually convinced that they are wrong, they shouldn't be here. And we have a kind of different particular strong aversions to some of our feelings. So which one is most difficult for you? So this is individually, but as a whole culture, we have a problem with certain emotions. With the dark emotions. Not because they are bad, but because we keep them in the dark. Personally and as culture. In the cultures. And again, there's differences in different cultures. Some feelings are more accepted than others. We can spend our whole life trying to get rid or fix feelings. And then we hear teachings which actually tell us that some of our feelings really are difficult and dangerous, evil even. So sometimes our spiritual path, our spiritual practice does not make us more open, more relaxed with who we are. It becomes even more difficult. We might even have a sense that enlightenment means to be in that space beyond this nasty humanness which comes with feelings. So one difficult relationship with our emotions could be, and maybe you can recognize it in yourself, is an attachment to intensity. That's one problem. And in our society, that attachment to intensity is the fuel for the whole entertainment industry, for the whole sports industry. Intense experience, intense feelings. Then it's fueled by this Hollywood thing. That feelings, they come with music in the background. So our life seems to be quite flat sometimes, boring, because there's no music. it can happen in a relationship that you have a sense that, yeah, it's quite okay, but where's the intensity? So you start to look for faults in your partner, in your relationship. Because it's not like in the Hollywood movies anymore. So maybe you need to create some intensity with having an affair. There's a little drama queen in all of us. And this is also a big part of some spiritual path. It becomes a hunt for intense experiences. And it's just like more intensive, more better. And then of course after a while it wears off, so we go to the next intensive thing. So also interesting to look inside and see, wow, what is it, what I'm actually on in my spiritual practice? Is it a hunt for heights? For being special, having more interesting experience in a flat and boring life? And then the other problem, and it's kind of the opposite, is an attachment to emotional absence. So there's this attachment to emotional intensity on the one hand, and then you might notice also in yourself. And of course what I'm describing right now is something which we notice when we slow down, when we give space, through introspection. And that's what the practice of mindfulness invites us in. So emotional absence, also part of spiritual traditions, or the way we see them, or the way we hope they would. They are methods to bring us out of the battlefield of our human experience into a place of emotional absence. Kind of spaced out, embodied, transcendental, experience. So it's interesting to explore that without giving your inner judge another point. And the inner judge is that person, or is that there's different people in the crew of your inner judges. But one of them is the writer. He has this big book, and he writes down all the points where you fail and where you're not good enough. Yeah? And he remembers everything. Like he's sitting there right now and writing down the points, and he will use it against you. So that's why sometimes when we go to teachings, our life becomes more difficult, because our inner judge has more more standards to compare you with. So what I just said about exploring, is that an aspect in my own way to practice? The attachment to emotional intensity and the attachment to emotional absence. So I'm not saying that to give that aspect of you another point, but I invite you to be curious and kind and wow, that's interesting. Yeah? And then if you can do that in that gentle way, then you also don't need to look around and wow, this is really intensity, attachment to emotional intensity. So then you bring that kindness which you treat yourself, you bring that also to your fellow practitioners. I'm really tired of the spiritual judgments we put upon our fellow practitioners. I'm sick of it. It's horrible, it's painful to do that. So I'm inspired to work on that. I do it myself, of course, but I'm really inspired to for my sake and for the sake of the people around me. So here, in the way I invite you to be on this Tuesday, maybe we can explore another way to be with that emotional current, which is just part of the human package. It's part of the human experience to have feelings. And there's nothing wrong with your feelings. Nothing is wrong with your feelings. Wanting to get rid of it, it's like this candle flame wanting to get rid of being hot. So this way of giving space to that involvement of emotional energies in the space of your awareness, in the space of your body. So the practice of mindfulness invites us to be more intimate with our feelings. And in the same time, to take them less serious and personal. So one common way for us to not to do that move towards who we are, towards our feelings, is to be busy. It's even a virtue in our culture, in our life, to be busy. That's why it is so precious that we come to places like here and that we take every day, or possible every day, but at least once a week, that we take a moment of, there's nothing, now I just some time for being with yourself and being with this energy. So instead of believing in this virtue of busyness and productivity and measuring your life in terms of how you perform in the eyes of the world, to start to make it also a virtue of taking time to be with your body, be with your feelings, be with this moment. And initially that might be difficult. It might be quite difficult. Because secretly we come to this place to feel good. Secretly we go to a meditation retreat or to a spiritual practice because we want to have good feelings, good emotions. And if that does not happen, we might even think, this is not for me. It's just like everyone is so peaceful and I'm sitting with this restlessness or with this discomfort and with this sadness. And something is wrong with me. Everyone else is peaceful and I have the most horrible meditation in the universe. I'm not coming back. I'm not doing this. It does not work for me. So initially we should expect difficulties. And I can say, the content is not getting better. I don't know. Now I just talk from my own experience. Yeah. So we can still hope that there is some emotionless teachers out there who give us the trick not to have feelings anymore. I still have that a little bit in my mind. I still scan YouTube for that one teacher who gives me the secret code to be not human anymore, but an angel without a body. So busyness. Then of course all our addictions. And self-improvement. No, this self-improvement trip will never stop. It's not that at one point you will feel, oh, this was my last self-improvement course. It's just like, okay, now I stop to try to run faster with voice training and communication skills and feelings management, meditation, yoga, it will not stop. So the self-improvement drive in you, that will never say, "Oh, no, it's fine. Just relax. Spend your money somewhere else." Oh, it's so nice to relax. The most important thing is to relax. That's really like the good news of the Buddha. You can relax. It will work out. The sky will prevail. Love will prevail. Who you are will prevail. The truth will prevail. Because the fantasy has no foothold in reality. And then if you do self-improvement projects, you do it more, you do it lightly. Okay, yeah, it's fantastic. You can be curious and but there is not that that pressure anymore. It's just like, yeah, okay, now what I'm going to do with the rest of my life. Yeah, okay. I'm interested. Yeah, I'm actually interested in this stuff. I'm me personally. Maybe you find out, wow, I'm actually more interested in learning drumming or doing something else with my time than meditation courses. For me, my hobby is self-improvement. It's just, and I'm sure it will be like this until my last day, because I'm just fascinated by the mind and by what is happening in my feelings and in my mind. And it's just so interesting. So you still come here and you pay, and that's how we survive. And but there's not that pressure. Okay. Any questions, comments? Yes.
I have one question. I follow what you're saying, and I think it's very powerful. I wonder if you could say something about. There's a part of me that feels like I'm enormously disappointed that I'm beginning to feel like I'm training my mind, and that's all I'm doing. I could train my mind, I could play backgammon or something, but now I happen to be training my mind in a world where God is dead, and I find that so sad. Does that make sense?
Where God is dead.
Yeah.
Vocatus equal, non vocatus deus aderet. If called upon or not, God is present. There's a beautiful Christian practice in the Christian monasteries when they do their chorus. They are walking in that sometimes there is a bell sound, and then the practice is to stop and to connect with I am in the presence of God. So I'm not I'm What do you mean with God is there?
I mean, it's because I'm, as far as I understand Buddhism, there is no God. To me, it sounds like a machine. You know, we are living, you know, the Matrix.
Mm.
We are living in it, and you know, you can, if you like, you can step out of it. But do you want to live in that? I mean, maybe it's better in some ways because you are at least not living in a fantasy. But what's the point? I know it's a fairly big question, but maybe there's a reasonable answer. And I also understand that, if I understand it correctly, there are also people who would say that if you nurture this kind of presence, you wouldn't ask this question.
So in your life, or when you, maybe now these days, but maybe you have a hard time right now, so it might be difficult. So if you go further, what are moments and where you are feel like must just, you know, like full,
Yeah.
or connected with your strengths, or connected with your soul, if you want to use a more Christian word.
Is it a question?
Yeah.
I have those moments, like
Yeah.
it does happen sometimes when I'm just quiet like this,
Yes.
or when I, you know, play music.
Yeah.
Especially if I try to do it in a mindful way, which seems to be something one can nurture. But still, you know, maybe it's my mind that simply wants to know, you know, and
Yeah.
it's especially the part that you know, now we know from science that what we're doing is also conditioning our mind or training it in some ways. I'm just really.
So do I understand that these moments where you feel full, that you don't trust them?
It's possible I don't. So it's kind of, I wouldn't ask the question in those moments.
You wouldn't ask, yes.
I know it's a big question.
Sorry?
I know it's an enormous question.
No, it's essential. So it's not only us, the two of us talking. It's like the whole of humanity is talking. So from one point of view, what is happening is like awareness itself trying to figure this out. So we are kind of ambassadors. So what I understood that you said, I can't understand it.
I just don't know what the point is in a way, I guess. But maybe you know, that's the wrong question from the beginning, and maybe I just, you know, will not find anybody who tells me.
Yeah, I can tell you.
Yeah. I'm gonna come back anyway.
So we are very lucky because in this moment of human history, there will be the answer emerging. But this answer emerges again and again, and it's always fresh. Yeah? And it has been emerging in your life as well, and it will emerge again. This answer. But you know the answer. I mean, you kind of know what I'm going to say or what I would say. So, and in the best, the answer would be kind of pointing again to that space in which our conversation happens, the presence, the openness, where the questions you have are answered because they are irrelevant somehow. Can you recognize that, what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think I understand it. Or maybe understand is not the right word, but
Yeah, understand. There's a understand is so. When we say understand, we mean a conceptual understanding, and the answer is something which is felt in your whole being. And I imagine that you touch that place when you play music, or when you read something where your being just opens or it resonates in you. But these moments, you can't put them into a box. You can't have them. So that's why for us it is important to create moments like we do now, like exchanging and talking and pointing to it, and kind of creating a field where that recognition happens. And these moments, they can be very subtle. So we don't need to expect like we have an enlightenment experience. It can be very quiet. It's like just a quiet sense of I remember something, or it's like this is like somehow there's more space, or like there's some stillness, or so that this kind of pointing out to that stillness, to that presence, that is from the Buddhist point of view and from other spiritual traditions' point of view, that's what our life is about. So every glimpse of that is actually, wow. If you have just a glimpse, and then again a glimpse, and then again a glimpse, and sometimes maybe 5 minutes, or wow, this is like, wow, life really sucks, but it was worth to be here because, Yes.
But this kind of practice, will it enhance the wow experience, sharpen the ability to be recognize these kind of moments?
Yes. You familiarize your mind with it, and a big part of what is happening is a confidence, a trust that this is it. And it's like, and for that, in the Buddhist tradition, the best way is to come together in the way we do it, because we can remind each other. We create a field of where it's more like in the air, and then your mind develops a familiarization with it, and because it's the only place where you truly rest. It's the only place where you truly rest. These moments of fullness. Then your mind it starts to kind of gravitate towards it. You don't know how, because there's no how. Yeah? Because that's the best way not to relax into it. So to have a how, like to have like a method to get there or something like that. But your mind it's just emerging. It sneaks upon you from the back.
But does it have an effect besides itself? I don't know if it's the same answer you
Yes.
formulated in a different way. Does it enhance our quality of the
Mhm.
other aspects? Of
Yes, it does. Yes, so that's the theory in the Buddhist teachings. But also in our life we notice, you notice times where you are more at ease, times where you are more relaxed with what is happening and who you are. Your creativity starts, your generosity, your capacity to be relaxed with others. It just so it's definitely good for your relationship and for aspects in your life. But of course, this is based on the teachings on our natural goodness, our natural health. It's like when you have a river which is polluted. If you leave the river alone, if you let the river rest, it cleans itself. So similar, if you rest, your body-mind will clean itself. It will come to balance.
I'm still thinking about what Jan said about
Yeah.
God. If God, that God is dead, is it possible? I don't know exactly what he means, but from what I've learned here, then I would think, for me, it's like, it's when you don't have a space to be in the presence, then it's like suffocating a bit, and then this is gone, and it's like the training to be in the presence is like opening up towards what might be called God. Or
Mm-hmm.
is that?
Mm-hmm. I like one word, and I have been using it since then, which you used some time ago, and that was grounded presence.
Yeah.
I like that. It's like grounded presence. That is, for me, another word to say I'm in the presence of God.
Yeah.
And it's an embodied presence. It's not like spaced out presence.
Yeah.
Like it's not a mental thing. Like to be in the channel of light or something like that.
It's like just
It's
being every day and seeing, experiencing like you talked about
Yeah.
beautiful things, and
Yeah.
so these moments,
Yeah.
they're open,
Yeah.
openness and all.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.